born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands.
Hello and welcome to the third round commentary. I'm muted. No, I'm not. I refused to believe that. So let's check it. I refused to believe that. Of course I'm right. Okay. So everything should be okay. We changed things up a bit, so we're not on a... Previously we were on a 15-minute delay, but we can't have that, so we had to change things up a little bit. And here we are on board one, and in this round, the third round, we finally have some Grandmaster clashes. And on board one we have Matthew Cornett with white against Kukesh. Let's see what was going on there. We had a Sicilian, topical bishop b5, c3 knight f6, queen e2, bishop g7, d4, and black went d5. Now Matthew closed it up with e5, knight e4. And I played this part pretty fast, and then rook d1 is probably the first possible new move, I think. Black took, bishop d7, and white relinquished the bishop pair here. Bishop takes c6, knight e1. One of the main ideas is that this knight is pretty badly placed, and f3 threatens to win it. So black has to play f6 just to be able to evict the knight, to get it to the square. f3, knight g5, and white took. So double pawns for black, and the question is, can he salvage especially this bishop on g7, which at the moment is staring at a wall and is not going to be able to find a new home very quickly. So is this a position where The knights are perhaps slightly better. For instance, white might go for the c file, try to get knight to c5. So white is playing sort of against the pieces. e6. And I guess this sets up for the future to eventually reroute this bishop. But that may not happen anytime soon. So not a super lot going on in this one. On the second board we have Hans Niemann against Thomas Bjertsen. Bjertsen is still an IM, but a very strong player. And yeah, Hans has been, let's say, okay, a little bit fortunate, but also very, very crafty so far in the first 2 rounds. And yet another anti-Sicilian, bishop e5, a6, bishop to d3. Looks a lot like, well, a little bit like the Kopet Sicilian with c3, but like in many of these lines, white puts the bishop on f1. And the play actually resembles more of a Ruy Lopez or a Spanish. d4, takes, knight takes d4, and black breaks with d5. And now wants to win the pawn on d5 back. White is playing really fast, 125, as you can see here on the left. So Bjertsen has spent a lot of time, which suggests that Hans is a little bit more familiar with his position, but too early to tell. We'll have to see. I mean, black looks solid. Once you take on d5, you should be fine. The question is, perhaps, what do you do with this bishop? But for the moment, nothing too dramatic here. On third board, we have Adipan with black against the local GM. And white opened up with knight to f3. And I was walking by as that happened, and Adipan spent some time on that move. Probably surprised already. I don't think here then has opened up too many times with knight f3, but it has happened. Oh, this is new. Let's see. Okay. So d4, e6. We have a semi-Slav with e3, and now white likes to play this. Queen c2, b6, and this is one of those solid lines where black just immediately goes for this and castles. I remember this being suggested in one of Alexei Dreyev's books on the semi-Slav. White breaks in the center, knight takes e4, castles, and a5. And white is playing rather quickly here. Well, quickly-ish. I mean, he's 15 minutes ahead, which is not much, but something. And finally, rounding up the top 4 boards, Abhijit Gupta against Lukas Jarmula, the Polish GM. And they seem to be playing Queen's Gambit declined. Reminds me a bit of the famous game Rotlevi Rubinstein. Not too exciting, fairly symmetrical. And black kind of strikes first with 95, forcing white to think about things. So if he takes on e5, you need to figure out what you do with the pressure on the h2 pawn. We do have our first result on the live boards, and Sebastian Massey and Max Varmedam agreed to a quick draw. Yet another Sicilian, but this time an open Sicilian. And looks like they took full advantage of there being no draw restrictions, and after d takes e4 they agreed to a draw. Should be solid. Black is going to play c5 and put the bishop on the long diagonal. But clearly they wanted kind of a break, I guess, in today's round. But we do have one decisive game, and that's my good friend Björn Thor Johannesson. Let's see what happened in his game. Bishop g5, Björn Thor Johannesson special, Torre attack. Knight b7, c3, h6. So black plays quite aggressively here, and Bishop doesn't care. It goes bishop e5, f6, and now takes on e4. Now seemingly this bishop is lost, but what's the catch? Queen takes e4. Now if we take, I guess it's going to be a check here, and probably knight takes g5. And this looks problematic. There's an immediate threat here. So let's say we do something like this. The king running looks fairly dangerous, but don't see the immediate checkmate. But black thought, okay, I don't have to allow this. I'll play rook h6 first. And then Bishop gives up the piece here on c7, queen takes, bishop b7, and knight takes g5, utilizing the pin here on the rook. So now if we take, white has a material edge because of all the pawns. There's actually 4 pawns and a rook for 2 pieces, which is pretty massive. So knight f8 was played, but then bishop b5, and all of a sudden I guess black is going to lose the queen, because you have to interpose, because if you play this you get mated, which is pretty nasty in 17 moves, and if you interpose I give you a check. And okay, I thought actually I was winning the queen here, but I'm not. So what's the problem? What is the problem? If bishop d7, maybe this. I don't see the immediate knockout, kind of. Hello, Kevin Winter. Kevin wanted to be with us last time before the pandemic. Hopefully he can make it one of these years. Unfortunately we had to cancel, well, like most other things in 2020. I can't see the immediate knockout in the game. I think he resigned after this. Let's reload. How to reload like this? Bishop b5 resigns. Okay, I need to see. I mean, bishop d7. It's only. It's not. Yeah, it's not immediately clear. I mean, white is going to be up some material, but honestly, I don't see the immediate knockout. But it looks like black just had enough. Probably he missed a lot of things and then was just feeling disgusted. He just resigned. Maybe he saw a ghost like I did. I thought first that we could just check and I forgot about this knight, and I was going to give this check. Here mate, but of course he's going to take with the knight. So yeah, perhaps a premature resignation by black here, but I'm sure that Bjössi is pretty happy. Yeah, a lot of your fellow Englishmen are indeed here. Yeah, I met Simon today. He played the second round. He had to take a bye in the first round. We have a lot of guys. International master Brandon Clark. We have Jonah Willow, Peter Sore, who had a good draw earlier in the morning. We have Harry Grieve. And then a lot of young guys. Some veterans, of course. Nigel Pova lost in the first round. Tough game. Terry Chapman, veteran. Admiral Player, played here tons of times. Chris Rice, used to be teammates on the Dukes of Kent. And plenty. I think there are close to like 30 people from England. Good stuff. Where can you watch the games? You can watch them on chess.com. You can watch them on Lead Chess, on Follow Chess, Chess24. Several places. So okay, the first decisive game. Björn Torfason won. We go down to and this guy that he actually beat a grandmaster in the first round. So he was having a strong tournament. Okay, let's have a look at some games. We looked at the first 4 boards. We looked at the draw by Sebastian Masse. We haven't looked at Alexander Fear, who we should have right here. And that's his current position. He has the black pieces. He's playing against Vladislav Larkin. Yeah, Terry Chapman played Kasparov in a match. Yeah, I seem to remember that. It must have been around the millennium or something like that. If I recall correctly. So what's going on here? This was yet another Sicilian with these bishop b5 Sicilians seem to be very, very popular these days. Knight f6, c3 castles, h3. And of course, this kind of ends up looking like some kind of King's Indian in a way. Bishop e7, rook c1, queen a5. Of course, white is very solid here. Takes on c5 and plays bishop d4. Intending to trade pieces, but Fear wants to keep the pieces on, so he plays bishop to f8. And yeah, we're seeing a lot more Sicilians, I guess, because of the nature of the tournament, an open tournament. Okay, yeah. So yeah, Fear trying to keep the pieces on. I'm sure he wants to try to win. And on board 7 we have an interesting matchup. Itani Puya against Tanya. This one was a Rui Lopez. Normal old school stuff. An anti-martial with a4. And rather quiet at the moment, not much going on. Oh, they're saying Ginger GM has played g5. We have to check that out. Is he playing the Black Lion maybe? Who is he playing? Let's see. Who is he playing? He's playing Evgenia Duluhanova. from Ukraine. What is Simon doing? Knight c6. Yeah, I think I've seen this. I've seen him play this idea. Typical Simon goes g5. He likes these kind of flank attacks. The idea, of course, is just to play for a big attack. d4, strike in the center. Classical reaction, just like her fellow countryman, the Ukrainian Romanician, did in the second round, but I believe he lost. So these attacks can work. d5, knight to e7, and unusual stuff here, bishop to f6. Simon just wants to win a pawn here. But how healthy is this pawn? Black is of course lacking a bit in development. And Harry hasn't been pushed yet. So what about something like this? Just immediately striking and trying to use the pin somehow. Maybe this allows f6. Yeah, I mean black might probably have to go here. And black might just survive this. Let's say we close the door here. And to make anything of this, I guess we have to take here. And that is probably a reasonably safe extra pawn. You can probably castle queenside and go for an attack. So I do wonder how the Ukrainian is going to justify the pawn down. Could he have played knight takes d5 when knight was on h4? Why not knight takes d5? Aha. Yeah, and this, okay, after f4. Could he put it earlier? Knight h4, bishop g7. Maybe in this position. There's probably nothing wrong with it. Probably could have done that. He can even flick in bishop c6 just to protect his pawn, because the queen can't protect the knight. So we'd have to go back somewhere here and just take. Yeah, I wonder why I didn't do that. Is there any reason why we shouldn't do that? Yeah, because in some lines, if we have to, we can probably castle queenside, like stuff like this. Maybe even take, instead of being overly passive with f6 or bishop g7. Yeah, I wonder why I didn't do that. Maybe we can ask him later. Let's see. Let's see what the computer says. Knight takes d5, g3. Yeah, it's not very deep, but no, the computer has knight takes d5. That's the first choice, but yeah. Remains to be seen, because this way of winning the pawn probably looks more dangerous. So we have this position. Okay. I'm just going to keep looking at games unless there's some Specific request, Ronak Satwani. He managed to draw in the second round. I think he was significantly worse. He's playing an Englishman, Harry Grieve. And we have, well, through a triangle slab mover, we have Stonewall, where white insists on trading off these dark squared bishops. Which usually means that you play for double dice, double round days, man. He's a killer. You usually play for control of these squares, d4 or c5, the dark squares, but none of that going on right now. Maybe the knight comes to d3 though. Starting to eye these squares. And black probably has to be careful because his king is quite vulnerable, so we can't really be opening things up with e5. So the position looks a little bit more difficult for black to play. The Niemann game in round 1 was a bit crazy. Will he win this event? Well, we sometimes talk about winner's luck, and if you're going to select somebody who has had the winner's luck so far, it's definitely Niemann. So I wouldn't bet against him. Yeah, white is much more solid. Definitely for choice here. So Satvani, we have Dietmar Kolbus against Pragnanand. Pragnanand with black, and he just blundered the full piece in round 2. That was quite unexpected. Gonna have a throwback to the morning round, and all the way up to, I believe, this position. In this position, this is Pragnanand against Marino Brunello from Italy. And this turned out to be a blunder by the Indian youngster, because Queen G1, how do you protect this bishop? You actually don't. It's taken, 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 and here you get pinned by this one. So he just lost a full piece. You know, he tried to get the most out of it as much as he could, and he ended up taking on c3. But he had to work really hard for the draw, so probably at the end it was more Pragnananda who got the draw. Anyway, moving on. The current position, Pragnananda with black, and yeah, still not much in it. Black has the bishop pair, it's quite solid. Probably might even be slightly better for black already. I mean, central control, we can play e5, be dynamic if we want to, and the bishops are stronger. And knight on a4 against these kind of pawns is always annoying, because you attack this pawn on b2, and if that pawn moves, then the pawn on c3 is under attack. So, comfortable position for Praka here. I think it was Julian Song, right, who drew against Pragi. And they're playing, looks like a theoretical line. Let's see. Ah, it's the Caroline with knight to e5. A lot of double pawns, eh? Black gives back one of them. Rook e1, queen d6, queen a4, rook b6. I think this is like reasonably well known. But I always pay attention to what the Danes are doing in the Catalan. They seem to have very good ideas in the Catalan. Mats Andersen, Sundberg, Jesper Thibault, and those guys. So it's worth keeping an eye on. And optically this might drop next move, so I'm not sure. The white tends to get nice compensation in these lines. Yeah, okay, he can pull back because takes this bishop e3 actually, so we'll simply pull back here and probably be reasonably happy. Okay, local GM Hjörvar Gretarsson, he took a bye in the second round. Here he's playing Stephen Dishman from England, and he's rated 2339, and Hjörvar just went for a quick queen trade. Knight c3. Generally in these lines white is going c3 and king c2, but here playing it quite differently, just keeping the king on d1. It's quite unusual. But Hjörvar still has better time. I mean, this is clearly not the most testing line against the Caro-Kann, but okay, we got a game even though the queens are off. Let's go back to the first board, Matthew Cornett. And in this one, is Reykjavik now the best open in the world? Don't say probably. But maybe because Gibraltar Open is no longer Sunway's teachers getting a good reputation. Yeah, maybe there aren't too many, big open tournaments like this. And so was the Czech Open. It's a little bit different, but I've gone once or twice, and it's fairly reasonable. I think you get better chess sets in general. I'll be playing Reykjavik, and I like the venue here a lot better. Never been to Dubai. Guess that one's pretty good. Yeah, but there's always some tournaments here and there, and hopefully the schedule starts to become more normal. Something that we're used to. So here Kukash is pushing Matthew's knight away here, playing b6. I'm guessing the knight comes back to d3. And eyeing maybe the b4 square, but then, okay, black can maybe continue to clamp down with a5. It's a bit of a unusual position, just straight up knights against bishops. And I think, in general, the rule of thumb is if the position is closed, you should prefer the knights. If the position is open, you should prefer the bishops. But here it's probably more closed than open. In this one, maybe, let's say, I don't know, semi-closed. So probably at the moment, I would choose the knight. But that could change quickly if the players get frisky with their pawn breaks. Move now by it seems like he centralized the knight, so probably the knight went back to d3. Yeah, we're probably like half a minute behind at times. Okay, no, less than that, maybe 15 seconds. Okay, so knight d3 played. Solid position for both sides. I think not too much in it at the moment. So let's move on a bit and let's see what Christopher Yu was doing. I know many people are interested in seeing what young Christian is doing. Yeah, I agree, Kevin. I completely agree. Did Marina just blunder? Rook c8 was the last move. Yeah, I also like, the side events, the Blitz tournament, the pop quiz, etc. 4, 5, 6, 7. So what happens if I just play c5 and grab this exchange? It can't be too bad. There's also an option of taking this pawn in some lines. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. Like taking here, we can throw this in. Okay, you do this, but we're gonna win this. I don't know where the king goes even. We're gonna grab this guy and take on b7. And it simply doesn't look good. I'm gonna keep this pawn because if you take it, there's rook c1. Oh, we don't have rook c1 actually. Okay. In that case, maybe bishop takes b7 is not the best. Maybe rook takes and some you take on c5 or maybe some evil stuff. So looks like a risky move. So maybe Christopher pounces, goes c5 here. Somewhat doubt that he missed c5. Yeah, so far we're only on YouTube. We did do Twitch last year. I might try to whatever you use, restream or something and put it on both sides like we did in 2021. We don't have the, exactly the same resources right now. We're running on more of a budget this time around, but we still should be able to figure it out. Okay, let's see. Who do we want to see? Let's see Wignir. He drew against Peter Sore, so I'm not going to say desperately, but he really needs a win here, I think, to keep his Grandmaster norm aspirations alive. He wants to get his final GM norm. Uneventful opening, to be honest. Some kind of, well, not some, it was a semi-slav. Although, should black take on c4 here? Unprovoked? Isn't this like a mistake? Oh, I didn't notice. He played, whoa. My apologies, he played rook b1. I thought the knight was an f3. So, this rook b1 is actually a novelty that Wignir came up with some years ago at the European Youth Championship in Slovakia, and it actually has a point. For instance, I think the main point is bishop d6. Now you play c5, and I think you're going to play f4, and just grab all the space, and you want to play b4, a3, and grab everything. But he's played it a few times before, so maybe his opponent saw some games in database and found the way. Knight b7, queen c2. Still, he took unprovoked, which with a knight on f3 is not considered the best move. So far, I think Wigner has won all his games with his line, but the jury is still out on if it's a viable line. I kind of shook my head when he showed me like rook b1. I'm going to play this. I'm like, what? Rook b1? Why? What's the idea? But he showed me an idea, and he was determined to play it, and he played it. And I guess that's a sign of a strong player when you come up with your own ideas, even though they may not be, kind of mainstream. Dmitry Minko is playing against Johan, and they had an Alekhine, and we don't have many Alekhines these days. Yeah, the game with Peter ended with two kings. It was a long game. So Alekhine, c4, d4, d6, standard stuff. Yeah, usually if white knows what he's doing, he's going to play b3 and rook c1, so looks like Minko knows what he's doing. And Johan goes for a d5 break here. And as usual in the Alekhine, you have to do some fancy maneuvering, and at the moment this is not a very good piece. But if you can fix it, then maybe black is fine. Took an f3 and e6. And I guess he's intending to fix this knight at some stage, but not right away. I think black is still somewhat cramped. We can't break with e5 because of this pawn. Knight here, we are on knight d6, which we probably don't want. So how does black proceed? I mean, usually when you don't know what to do, you look for ways to get a pawn break. Black's pawn breaks are either to play here or to play for e5 eventually, either e5 immediately or f6 e5. Could maybe try for some kind of expansion, but that looks risky. So Johan simply improves the knight, and I guess his idea is to meet knight d6 with b6. So if he goes here, he's going to go here. Okay. Johan is one of, well, there are only two-time winners in the field. I think there are four former winners of the Reykjavik Open, but only two that have won it 2 times. And yeah, one of these questions might be on the world famous pub quiz that's going to be tomorrow. The Reykjavik Open pub quiz. Always a fun event. Hoping for a good turnout this year. Let's see how Simon is getting on against Dolu Hanova. So bishop takes f5 is what we looked at. She played knight d2. Guess intending knight c4. Knight e7 by Simon, knight c4 and e4. Trying to hold on to the pawn. And with the knight e3, queen to d7 by Simon. Still holding on to the pawn. But for how long? So if we take, is this going to survive for long? I'm not sure it will. And if it doesn't, then Simon might regret not having seen knight takes d5 earlier in the game. So let's say c4. My plan is simply to win this pawn. If I do, isn't white doing pretty good? I don't see a particular way to keep this pawn. There might be some like evil ways of trying to trick white by going something like this. And let's say bishop d3. Actually, you can put the king on f1 here, but this one would be funny. Knight g3 check, and then we select between queen h6 or queen h5. But of course, by no means forced. And let's see if we have an update here. No, queen d7 is the last move. Yes, Simon did indeed do well to win that ending in round 2. I thought it must have been objectively completely drawn. But this is what the strong guys do, you know, they keep pushing. And there was also this game by Satwani where he won in 99 moves. That was quite brutal. So like I said earlier, we have this one result. Masi against Farmerdam, that's a draw. And we had Björn Torfason win against Rafael de Koning. So I guess we need to pick out some games to keep an eye out for. I'm going to keep an eye out for Simon, maybe Wigner. Let's keep an eye out for Alexander Fear. Ronak Sadwani, was that something interesting? Yeah, let's keep an eye on this one. I'm not sure about this one. Mats Andersen perhaps. Yeah, plenty of games to keep an eye on. Bragi Þorfarsson against Ardeen Bosboom. Must be related, like I mentioned earlier, to Manuel Bosboom. You can't have people being called Bosboom all around the Netherlands and not be related. I don't believe that. So Bragi with white pieces here, he has gone for some kind of Alpha Zero pawn push here. I need to check how my little workers are doing. Yeah, I can do like this. So we have an interesting project going on this year that, well, guess I'll see you later. 471. Looks like everything is done here. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, so this year we're getting the PTN files done much faster by outsourcing them. So okay, can Black try to win this pawn? I think, judging by the move g5, he's trying to. He wants to put maybe the queen here and just win the pawn, or maybe even the knight. And ask white, what are you doing in the meantime? I have the bishop here, you have this one, but the diagonal is closed, and your knights don't really have good squares. I mean, these are all taken, so white probably needs to sacrifice to make something happen, and it's not entirely guaranteed to work. Okay, so we think Bragi is doing well here. No, sorry, we think that Bosboom is actually not doing too badly here. Alexander Thor Johannesson, the Ukrainian Icelander. Seems to have a fairly solid position here against Thorstein Thorarsson. That's probably a Queen's Gambit, right? Yeah, Queen's Gambit declined. Solid for black, but not very spectacular. But I think black has more or less equalized here. Oh wait, we have Anna Kramling and Eric Rosen on the demonstration boards. Knights in white drew against Suren Lim. 432. Draw. Knights in white was indeed white. So what's going on in this one? Anna with white against Erik Hedman. They're both from Sweden. And it was a King's Indian. And this top will H3 line, D5, A5, Bishop G5. Very white, yeah, white is usually going for this G4, so looks like Anna is reasonably prepped here. Generally, I think the idea is just to stop F5 and just take on F5. Rook D to G1, and things get scary pretty quickly here for black. Knight to B4, H4, no fear. CD, CD, F6, and Bishop H6. So the good news for black is that white is maybe not immediately breaking through. We might have to play some kind of G5, H5, and that combination of moves may or may not work. So black took an H6, we have to take out the queen. There's also a possible knight check on D3, which could be fairly annoying actually. Because we can both, we can both, let's say we take it, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, let's say we take it and keep B1. We can probably take this pawn safely, but we can also play knight F4 and keep this queen at least slightly out of play, right? Probably more than slightly. So I have a feeling that things are getting a bit difficult for Anna here. Yeah, knight takes F2 is probably just fine as well. There's no immediate threat. We're gonna grab this and then we're gonna grab this, so yeah, that's just good. And he's already played it knight B to D3, I think. That looks dangerous. Very, very dangerous. What about Eric? Eric Rosen is playing Michael Doherty, who is, despite his rating, a FIDE master, not somebody you should underestimate. And the D4 Eric played. Maybe he was intending to London this round, I don't know, but black played G6, so then he switched to the modern. Sorry, to the modern actually. G6. Old man's opening. Hoping for E5 when we have the Gurgenidze variation, where black plays for a blockade. No such pleasantry from Eric Rosen. So bishop C4, knight D to F6, C3 castles, 95. Yeah, white is very solid here. He took an F5. Bishop takes F5, but on the other hand, black is also very solid. He's finished development. The only thing white has got going for him slightly more space. That's connected with these pawns, especially the one on d4, which guarantees some extra space. Rook e1, rook e8, bishop e3, bishop c8, and c4. They're saying Niemann looks in control again. Yeah, I think Eric must be doing nicely here. Next move might be bishop e3, but do we need a second pawn? Probably not. So let's say just knight here to say something. To say something. Can we play bishop f4? Probably can't, but it's not necessary, so why not just play here? Get the pieces out and then here. Whoops, here. What should we be doing? Pretty good. c4 looks good. Yeah, Hans was indeed totally lost in round 2, but he played very risky. So that was what he was intending, and it worked out. So in this one against Thomas, again he played pretty fast. It looks like he just won a pawn. Knight takes d4, d5 takes. So what happened? He took the pawn, queen b3, bishop c5. We're gonna trade. Knight here, there's queen here. Counter attack, so he takes an f6. Here, black didn't like his development, and sacrifices the pawn. Although, is he getting it back? I'm not sure of the bishop a5, bishop e6, because you can fortify it with a5. So we're going back to Alexander Fear, who we haven't looked at for a while. He has the black pieces. He's away from the table right now, and he played bishop f8 last. Rook c2, e5, bishop c5, rook c5. So now we understand bishop f8 a little bit better. He played e5. In that case, the pawn on d6 needs some extra protection. And wow, b4, is that something that's working for Vladislav Larkin? Well, we have to take it. Because otherwise we lose a rook for nothing. And now comes rook b1, and he's probably just going to... I thought he was going to try to double on the file. But that may not be super easy. Could be a move like this, probably this. But at least in this case, maybe knight d5 is strong. If you take this, we take back. Intending this, which looks deadly actually. So yeah, maybe b4 was a surprising move. Fear taking his time here. Yeah, I actually might go on a short break. I'll probably leave you with this game. Maybe we'll have a quick look at board 1, see what Matthew and Lukas are doing. Again, I seem to slightly prefer the position with the knights. White is getting a nice doubling on the c-file, but on the other hand, what does it accomplish? I don't know. Remains to be seen. But I think the other game is a bit more interesting, especially since Fear might have just blundered, allowing a b4. So I guess we'll see and find out. Rook b1, strong move, pinning the bishop on the 7th rank and intending at some stage to go here, but without losing this one. So if White can avoid losing this knight, moving it and taking the queen, then he's threatening to double and win some stuff. But we'll find out soon. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Like I said, I'll leave you with this game.